I think being part of the community gives you an empathy and a humility that, once again, dealing with technology is also serving humans. So you need that kind of touch.
Hey everyone, it's Samantha, and welcome back to another episode of Paths. Paths is a program of LGBT tech that is focused on visibility and inclusion of LGBTQ plus folks in STEAM. Paths podcast allows us to talk to professionals across the LGBTQ plus community in various STEAM fields and get to hear their stories, from their background to how they got to where they are, to their advice for others on how to get into their fields and industries. Everyone's paths vary, are unique, and are incredibly insightful. Before we jump into this month's episode, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to show your support and never miss another episode.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today and tell us a little bit more about your story. So could we just start by getting to know you a little bit? Could you please just share your name and also your pronouns and also maybe a few words about how your friends would describe you?
So my name is Claudia Hernandez. My pronouns are she, her. I think my friends would describe me as dynamic and loyal.
I love that. And could you tell us how you identify within the LGBTQ plus community, and feel free to share any other parts of your identity that are important for you to recognize?
In the community as a lesbian, I think the other parts of me that represent me is my heritage, Venezuelan heritage, and my experience as a migrant. I lived in 3 different countries, so.
Yeah, amazing. And could you also tell us a little bit about what you do professionally? And then could you also describe your profession in a way that might make sense to somebody who's never heard of what you do before?
I'm an engineer. Computer science is kind of the equivalent here. Informatics engineer is what it calls back home. And basically what I do now is I help teams organize and have everything that they need to interact with each other and to make it through the projects, any different projects. So I basically help people out to accomplish, any of the projects goals.
And could you tell us a little bit about where did you grow up and what did your community look like growing up, and also tell us about where you live now and what your community kind of looks like now?
So I grew up back in Venezuela. I think my community was mostly around my family and friends in education. Right now I live in Brooklyn, and my community are my friends that are around the world because technology facilitates that, and the city has survived. So kind of New York is already a community, and it's very wide range in acceptance, and that's one of the things that I love about the city.
Yeah. What do you like about living in Brooklyn?
It has graffiti art, which I love. It has the views from Manhattan, which is beautiful, the skyline, and it's walkable. You have a very beautiful views from the river and stuff, so that's one of the things that I enjoy most.
Yeah. Do you remember kind of when you started to understand your identity within the LGBTQ plus community and what that was like for you?
I think I kind of always knew, but I went through the phase where everyone, goes with trying heterosexual relationships and stuff. I think I became a little bit more conscious around high school and college. And I started dating around early 20s.
And do you remember kind of what your first access to queer spaces looked like and what those spaces were?
It's pretty hard in Latin countries, So I kind of started going to cafes that were part of the community back in Caracas, a couple of clubs, but I think mostly through my work. One of my best friends where I worked, we bonded together as he was part of the community, and I think that also helped me, feel more comfortable.
Yeah, that's really cool that you had access also to spaces like cafes and things, because I think the nightlife that our community has is really important, but it's also important to have other spaces as well.
Totally.
And when you were growing up, did you have any role models? And that could be like within the community or just in other parts of your life or professionally?
I would have to say professionally, my mom. She's a civil engineer.
Okay.
And we bonded a lot through the process of me picking up colleges and my career. I actually did like a tour of her alma mater. Sorry, it's a little emotional for me.
Okay.
When I was picking my career, and I didn't end up going there, but it was really beautiful.
Yeah. And I feel like that's just also so amazing that it was like getting to see a woman role model being in civil engineering, because I feel like that's not always.
No, it's not always the case.
Yeah.
I feel engineer is more like a male, like in her time even more, but like a male like career. And at the moment there was not too many community representation either.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's a pretty good transition into kind of starting to talk about like your interest in STEAM. So could you maybe talk a little bit more about like what your experience was, your exposure to STEAM fields, whether that was through like the civil engineering that you were seeing your mom do, or just your kind of exposure into STEAM in general and what that looked like for you?
I think in terms of technology and mathematics, it came a little back when I was a child. My dad is like this technology enthusiastic, and he brought us the first computer or personal computer that he could find. So that exposed me early to computers, and that's how I love to and started to try technology. So I believe that between her and him, that's where the interest kind of flowered.
Yeah. And do you know, was there like a moment for you when it kind of sparked like, this is what I want to do with my career and my education?
Yeah, I have to say that in high school, there was something like a thesis to actually finish the courses, and I picked at the time like what was the history on the initials from internet. So I think, and it was like my first time going to a cyber, doing homework or research like that. So I believe that's where it started. My mom also helped me out. So that helped me understand that I wanted probably an engineering, but it more focused in technology.
Yeah. At LGBT Tech, we kind of talk a lot about the importance of exposure and just like access for LGBTQ folks to technology because of the connection that it gives them like to community and information about their community and identities and things. But I also think that your story really highlights the importance just for folks in general to have that exposure to technology, to like maybe they're interested in technology and STEAM fields and everything, and that like exposure like between your dad kind of bringing those things home, but then also like having the access through education to go and test that out, and like then you find something that you're passionate about.
Yeah, totally. Back then we didn't have any computers in the high school or anything, but there were a couple of cybers that already had that. The libraries didn't have it, but I want to say fortunate enough to do that, and it was hard to get the high school to actually accept that as a subject of an end of course thesis, but that was also a challenge. So I kind of pursued that, and afterwards they liked it. So yeah, I feel very blessed that gave me like the initial steps into what would be my career afterwards.
Yeah, that's so kind of like ironic to think back on, because now everything is about like setting students up for success and like with technology.
Totally. Yeah, and even with AI now, which is, it's hard to think of a time where that was not so accessible.
Yeah.
But I believe my generation and I become from that generation where we were like in the middle, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's an interesting time to have grown up in. So whether your kind of educational path was like traditional or non-traditional, could you kind of talk us through what that looked like for you? So once you decided that you wanted to pursue technology, you talked a little bit about doing like college visits and things like that, but like what was your kind of educational path into where you are today?
So yeah, obviously college, I graduated from informatics engineer, which is like a mix of computer science and software engineer. And that's actually why I picked it, because I wanted a career that wouldn't put me only in hardware or only in software. I wanted to understand and be able to pick in between. Yeah. And I believe this was the path. So, and it's like the equivalent here is like computer science. So that gave me a good way to start. I started in web development. I specialized in front end. I did some freelancing projects on my own, and then I started working in a very big media conglomerate back home for 5 years, and that exposed me to a very dynamic, environment. Building up web pages for news it's very stressful, but it also shows you that all of that dynamic and the up-to-date information has to be on a click.
Yeah.
The importance of traffic, of SEO tools, of optimizing webs for allowing millions of people to address it. So that's good. I did a couple of courses of things like front end, specifically to features and facilitating UX UI, which are the interfaces. And then I did a little consulting as well for another media company back at home. So I was involved in a lot of big sites, the backgrounds, privacy, helping out for even like marketing spaces, Google Ads was starting also as well. So enhancing all of the templates for those spaces. I used to inspire in sites over here, news sites, USA Today, even the New York Times, working alongside of web designers as well. I respect a lot of that professionals, because without them things wouldn't look beautiful, but also wouldn't be functional, Then I started working remote when I migrated. I started working remote from Argentina to a hospitality company, and that gave me the path of transitioning from code to leadership. And that's where the bug started growing on me. So I did a specialization on project management back then, and it's been like that ever since. I certified as a Scrum Master to be able to manage Agile with Agile methodologies, all of the teams. I transitioned also to the energy company in Buenos Aires. And then here in New York, I got certified by Scaled Agile also framework. So that has been kind of the path that's brought me here.
Yeah, wow, that's a very impressive resume.
Appreciate it.
When you were living in Spain, were you also working in tech there?
Yeah, that was right out of college. It was not web related, but I was kind of scouted out of college in a company. I worked 1 year. It was not web related, but I learned an API that was being used, and I work in a Microsoft partner company. So that was a really, really good experience.
Yeah. Do you feel like having worked in the industry in 4 different countries has informed the way that you work in it today in any way? Do you feel like there's specific insight, or what insight has it provided you to be able to be
Totally. I think that technology gives you the path to work in different industries, more so right now, because from even small startups to big companies, technology is involved in everything and can optimize a lot of things. So it has totally allowed me to go from one industry to another, but also being able to manage multicultural teams and remote teams. When remote wasn't cool, all of these was, for me, started prior to pandemic. I was managing 2 or 3 teams in the hospitality startup, and they were all from different places. There were Latin American people, they were people that was here in the US, and imposes also a challenge to be a little empathetic with time zones, like holidays, all of that wide range. So yeah, totally, that has helped out a lot in understanding teams' dynamics.
Yeah, that's such a interesting experience, and I feel like there are many industries that are international, but I feel like the tech industry is especially international and growing.
It's transversal to all enterprises and industries. Totally.
Yeah, and I don't know how to explain this, but like especially in the immediacy of like the way that you're interacting with your colleagues internationally, like other companies might be international, but like the work that they do isn't so like, it's not so immediate of like the
like niche,
Yeah.
but the impact in media or energy that impacts thousands and millions of people, that's really exciting to be part of.
Yeah, that's really cool. If you were talking to somebody from our community who's like kind of hearing about what you do in your work and is like, yeah, that's exactly what I want to do, what advice would you give them to like get started in that career path?
I think right now resources are so available, cost effective even. You have a wide range of libraries that you can learn from, either if you want to have like a very fancy course. I would say start small, start curious. YouTube can be a very important library to start from. If there's something in the technology that you're passionate about, or if you have a purpose that could be embraced or optimized through technology, I would say go for it. I would also advise them to understand concepts, you know? I think all of what I've learned in college has helped me to, in project management and in Agile, to, at the end of the day, you need to handle this to humans, okay? And understanding concepts and structures give you the language to try to humanize the technology, the process, you know, requirements and all of that. So those are skills that you can learn by doing, learn the concepts to use the tools the right way as well. Because I believe right now, for example, with AI, LLMs and stuff, we throw these acronyms around and people think they know about something, but actually learning what's happening in the back helps you to work better and work it the right way. Also taking into account privacy, governance, you know, responsible use of that.
Yeah, absolutely. When you were starting out kind of in your career and also taking us all the way through today, have you felt like there's been space for LGBTQ folks in that field, or how has that changed if that's the case?
I want to say over the years it has. As we talked previously, it was mostly engineering and technology was mostly a male environment. And it was kind of strict that way, but it has evolved. I want to say in the countries that I work with and in the industry that I work with, normally it wasn't that open, but that has changed in the past, I want to say like 8 years, you know? Companies have become a little bit more conscious about that. There's still a lot of way to go, of course. But I think that the individuals from our community that are right now leading in tech bring a value and an expertise that is really important to highlight.
Yeah. Do you think you could say a little bit more about what that is? Like, why do you feel like it's so important for our community members to be represented in tech? Like, what is the kind of unique insight that they bring into that space?
I think being part of the community gives you an empathy and a humility that, once again, dealing with technology is also serving humans. So you need that kind of touch. When you're dealing with different stakeholders, different personalities, different team members, you can get very self-conscious of your knowledge and what you bring to the table. But having that empathy helps you also understand and learn from others. And I do believe that people from the community are a little bit more sensitive or sensible to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I guess, have you felt comfortable being out at your different workplaces, and like what support or what challenges have you faced?
I have to say, early in my career, no. It's a hard no. Back in my country, it was hard, and I got a little discriminated, not only for being of the community, but even being a woman. So if being a woman was a challenge, to bring something else to the table was going to be hard. But I have to say that in the recent years, my recent experience, I have felt welcome and valued, and I have been able to come out as myself, because it's not the intention of coming out as something, but feeling comfortable just being yourself. And I think in my recent experience I have, and I am blessed to work in a company that also gives the opportunity to be yourself.
Yeah, I think that's really important for folks who are like interested in these fields but might not feel like there's space for them. It's really important for them to hear that there is like space and there are companies that they can
I
find.
think is happening.
Yeah.
It has happened. As I said, there are probably more work to do, but there are spaces, totally.
Yeah. And based on your personal experiences, do you feel like there are kind of like systemic barriers that are posed for entry into STEAM or tech for LGBTQ folks?
It has not been my experience. But I think the more you're prepared, and in terms of technology, there are things that while you're learning, you can show. There are platforms that while you learn, I gave a talk a couple of weeks ago. I'm part of a community that's called Venezuelan in Tech. And I was teaching them to go into data analysis, which is another thing that I have come to learn in my current work experience. And at the end of the talk, I gave an example of a platform that you have data sets to play with, and you can present that in a blog or in a GitHub platform. So that way you can build up a catalog to show when you are looking for a job. So that also allows to, show some experience from what you've learned.
Yeah, that's very cool that you were able to like share that expertise with the community and everything. I guess you can pull from some of the examples that you've like seen in affirming workplaces, or if you have other ideas about what this could look like. But like in an ideal world, what do you think best practices for companies for like LGBTQ support and empowerment look like?
I think empathy, visibility, opportunities, ERGs help a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing until I started working where I work. And I believe having a group that embraces the community and helps to educate people, that's one step in the right direction.
Is there a project that you've worked on that you've loved working on or that was very meaningful to you, and / like what in your career are you most proud of so far?
I think the media was one of the most exciting to work on. Our team was involved in where the newspaper people were. So everything happened there, and we moved to a new building where you have screens all over and you could see the news in real time. And being part of showing that to the country, to the people, was excited. As I said, work for the industry and understanding that your work impacts so many people is good. Being able to also give back through memberships like this community, Venezuelans in Tech, helping out in these kind of talks. It's kind of one of my proudest moments. Having the opportunity to talk to people and maybe, if possible, inspire a little bit to pivot or understand that they can move from one path to the other one. I think that's really one of the more nice achievements for me.
Yeah. And do you have future kind of personal or professional goals?
Professional, I want to keep learning. The data analysis is, I feel like also, as we were talking, technology and data analysis is like transversal right now. I'm learning AI, even though I understand it, I keep learning because it changes a lot. Personal, to stay healthy, try to get old in a healthy way, building muscle to be able to travel because I love to travel. Trying to have a little peace of mind as well.
Yeah, I love that. Do you have a favorite place that you've traveled to?
It seems like a tough question. I have to say Paris, and I want to go back, and any of the beaches of my country because I've missed a lot the beaches over there.
Yeah. And outside of work, do you have any hobbies or passions?
I have origami. I actually broke you guys.
Cool.
Origami crane. I love walking, sightseeing in the city, just getting lost into whatever with no plans. I'm a foodie, so I love to try different foods. And I started with mindfulness and meditation as well to try to be more present. And that actually brings me to kind of my hybrid approach to technology. Technology is very good in various ways, but also try to balance it and tone it down with the real presence and being outdoors.
Yeah, that's really important, and sometimes getting harder and harder to do.
Yep.
But do you have any favorite restaurants in New York?
Yeah, I have to say I love Koreatown in Manhattan. There's a place there that I learned from my cousin that is called Our House, which is Wuri Jeep. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it well, but it's one of my favorite places to go to.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. And do you have any advice that you would want to give to your younger self if you were able to talk to her?
I think it would be like, you're doing better than you think you are.
Do you have any advice that you would want to give to younger LGBTQ folks, or just any LGBTQ folks who are interested in like making their career pivot into tech? Like, what advice would you give them?
You're worth it.
Yeah.
And to get into technology, just be curious. Read a lot. I didn't like to read, but I love audiobooks, so that gets me there. And explore.
Yeah. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you would like to mention here in this space today?
I think I forgot to say it, but the certifications, even if you don't have like a college degree, I do believe that's a good way to, one, learn by doing, and two, to be able to add to your resume to show that you have the skill, but do not stay with the diploma or whatever. Once again, learn by doing, practice a lot. That gives you the skills to go on, and also soft skills, talk, communicate, learn how to understand and empathize with different types of people, and listen, I would say, more than talk.
That's good advice. And this is optional, but where can our listeners find you? Is there any work that you want to plug? If there's ways that folks can connect to you or your work.
Well, my LinkedIn handle and Instagram is Claudia DHC, so you can find me there. I am available for any mentorship, any advice, anything that you guys need. And I would say Venezuelan in Tech. It's an NGO that's actually registered here, but it's global. It was founded by 3 Venezuelans with this passion to support not only migrant women, but also kind of support with purpose in terms of plugging in Venezuelans and women in technology that doesn't necessarily come from that background. But it's also like a supporting group. It's a very warm and welcoming community. So yeah. That's one project that I would love to keep pursuing and invite people to.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. It's been such an honor to get to hear more about your story.
Thank you.
And yeah, we really appreciate you taking the time to be here with us today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Hey, you. Yes, you. Thank you for listening to this episode of Paths from LGBT Tech. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to never miss another episode. Show your support and allow us to keep sharing these stories. Didn't get enough? Check out past interviews to hear from more amazing queer professionals in science, technology, engineering, art, and math. See you next time.